I'm resisting the urge to make a second coffee today because I'm actually really excited to just start in on this video. As you guys can already tell by the title, I am going to be starting a new whip. So I've got my super handy dandy yarn with me. I've also got my knitting needles because we're going to be remaking the top that I have on now. If you guys can remember, I did make this top in a previous video and I had a few issues with it that I wanted to correct and make again. But before I go ahead and jump into today's knitting tutorial, I want to take a second and thank today's sponsor of the video, which of course is Ana Luisa. I'm really excited to be putting out this video because I'm officially an ambassador, a VIP ambassador for Ana Luisa. So congrats to me. I'm really excited. As you guys know, I have been sponsored by Ana Luisa in the past and I'm so thankful and grateful to be working with them again. And as you all know here on my channel, I love to promote slow fashion and just more of an eco-conscious wardrobe, which is why I am so drawn to Ana Luisa and their sustainability practices. And as you guys know, I have been wearing Ana Luisa's jewelry non-stop for the past year. So let's take a quick moment to show you guys the new pieces that I've just received in the mail and I cannot stop wearing. Like, just check out these super gorgeous pearl huggy hoop earrings. They look so good with my short hair and I feel like they really accentuate just like my overall look and they really just kind of add to my style. One of my new favorite pieces is this ABRIELLE earring set, which features 14 karat gold on recycled sterling silver, as well as these gorgeous freshwater pearls. I also have the ARIANNA earring set, which features 14 karat gold on recycled sterling silver as well. And another favorite is this double FRIDA earring set, which features 14 karat gold on brass as well as freshwater pearls. So I've been wearing these Suzanne hoop earrings, and of course I paired them with the LACEY necklace. Again, this is 14 karat gold on recycled sterling silver. Styling Ana Luisa's classic statement pieces has truly motivated and inspired me to play a part in their environmental journey, and I can't wait to see what happens next. And best of all, Ana Luisa offers sustainable jewelry starting at just $39. So if you use my coupon code, which is ErinB at checkout, or just go ahead and click the link down below, you will receive 10% off of your order. Thank you again so much, Ana Luisa, for sponsoring today's video. Let's go ahead and start jumping into the quick little tutorial that I have planned for you guys. It's going to be a mixture of like a knit with me and a little bit of a tutorial. As you guys saw in the last video, the main highlight of this top and the things that I wanted to like fix and adapt is, first and foremost, with this top, I did make it a little bit too wide and I wanted it to hug me a little bit more like that, because the main standout features of this top are these really gorgeous dropped knit sections. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how I create that. And also, like I previously mentioned, my first intention with this top was to actually make it more of a bandeau or like a tube top, but this is the loops and thread cozy wool tweed. Now, I haven't really seen this on the shelf too much, and currently this is on clearance over at Michael's. This is actually a 66 polyester yarn, 30% acrylic and 4% wool. So I'm not too sure if you guys will be able to see, but with this yarn, it really does have like this really fluffy, gorgeous halo, and it's kind of giving off more of this fake or faux mohair look, which is why I picked it up. Quick little finger swatch. This is what she's looking like, but it's super stunning. Of course, we've got that tweed effect, and again, this does have that fluffy mohair texture look to it. So I'm going to go ahead, break off the little pamphlet here and start casting on stitches. Now, I'm always getting a ton of questions from you guys in the comments asking how I size items and get them to fit me so perfectly. Now, it's kind of a trial and error basis, but I do want to take a moment to recommend to you guys, you really should be reading the little guide here on the back of the pamphlet. And for this little knit with me, I do want to use 8mm knitting needles. So because I can't exactly follow that little swatch guide, I'm going to have to make a swatch myself, stretch it, get measurements, and find out exactly how many stitches I need. I cannot tell you how many times I have messed up a top, kind of like this one, because I didn't bother to make a swatch. And it's really important, guys. If you want this thing to fit you like butter, hug you like a glove, curve you in all the right spots, you gotta make a swatch. I hate to say it, I know. So really quickly here, I'm just going to cast on probably about 10 or 12 stitches and kind of figure out sizing based with my new needles. I had to pull up my phone to do calculations really quickly, but just kind of based off of that math that I told you, I think that I need to cast on about 78 stitches for it to tightly wrap around my body. If you guys are a different size from me, make sure you make a swatch, do the math, figure out what you need. So at this point, I'm gonna try to, okay, I can't pull apart, I cannot frog this faux mohair. So I'm just gonna go ahead, cut off my yarn and start casting on 78 stitches. All right, so I've just been knitting up a few rows here in the round with my standard stockinette stitch. And this is what that like really gorgeous faux mohair yarn is looking like. Like I was telling you guys earlier, I like to specifically place each of my stitches. That way, like I said, it's not going to completely unravel here to the very bottom. What I'm going to do first is grab a little place marker. That way I know specifically which stitch I'm going to drop. So I'm just going to slip this onto my needles. And then at this point, what I'm going to do is yarn over once on my work and then just knit the next stitch like regular. So as you guys can see right here where the stitch marker is actually placed, we have that yarn over stitch right here and then the regular knit stitch right here. So again, as I'm working each round, I'm just going to be knitting this extra stitch here as if it was a regular stitch. And then eventually I'll just go ahead and drop it off of my needles. Let's go ahead and show you guys that technique just a few more times. Probably gonna knit up another 10 or so stitches. All right, so again, I'm just gonna grab my next little stitch marker or place marker so I can keep track of where I'm about to add the extra stitch. And again, I'm just going to yarn over and then just go ahead and go into that next stitch like a regular knit stitch. And then of course, once I've got about, I don't know, about 10 or maybe 12 rows, I'm going to specifically drop off and drop stitch this yarned over stitch right there. So I'm just going to continue to work on my little piece here. Now I'm just going to go back to the standard stockinette stitch. All right, I'm popping on here because I want to show you guys the progress that I've made with this top. Now, I know it looks a little bit crazy right now, so just, you know, bear with me. But this is what my little tube top is looking like. So yeah, this is what I have so far. I want to say this is about probably 5 or so inches of the top. And you guys can see like my little stitch markers are just currently hanging off of the project. So at this point, I wanted to take a moment and show you guys how I drop my stitches. Now, like I said, my top is nowhere near close to done, but I do like to kind of stagger my dropped stitches. So in some parts, I only like my drop stitch or like distressed section to be like about this long, and then some sections I do like them to be longer, just a little bit of variation within the project. So I'm gonna go ahead and change up the camera, and I still have a few more stitches until I come up on my dropped stitch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and work that stockinette stitch until I reach my stitch marker. All right, so here at this moment, I have arrived at my stitch marker, and in order to create that drop stitch effect, I'm just going to go ahead and remove my stitch marker. And like I said, because this is the stitch that I yarned over right after my stitch marker, I'm just going to slip this stitch off of my needles. And as you kind of pull and tug on your work, it's a little bit hard because this is kind of like a mohair fluffy yarn, so it is getting a little stuck here. But as you start to like pull and tug on your work, that stitch should drop. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this stitch all the way down to my little eyelet section there. So if you want to like leave it like that, you can totally do that and just continue to work your piece. But I really want this to drop all the way down to where I yarned it over. So it's going to take a little bit of work. But again, if you guys are using like a cotton yarn and acrylic yarn, you shouldn't really have this problem of like your mohair getting stuck. All right, so this is what that dropped stitch is looking like. This actually looks a lot huger than I was intending. But again, I think it's just kind of based on the fact that I'm using 8mm knitting needles. So that is the little dropped stitch technique. So at this point, I'm literally just going to knit the next section. But again, I'm just gonna go ahead and work my piece until I come up to my next stitch marker. All right, and again, I'm coming up on my next place marker, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove that. And now this next stitch, I'm just going to slip it off of my needles and start to pull and tug at my work. But isn't that just so stunning? Hello everybody, I'm looking a little crazy today. Anyways, I wanted to come on here to show you guys my progress so far with this top. It's pretty basic and I don't want to include too many clips of me knitting because I'm really just doing the knit stitch over and over and over, and you guys pretty much get the gist. So here is what I have worked up, but as you guys can tell, I have officially slipped off all of those extra stitches that I yarned over. So I'm really just working with the initial stitches that I first casted on. This is more of my major dropped stitch moment. And I did take about 5 minutes to successfully pull apart that stitch. So this is what that more grandiose, distressed look looks like. This is how long the top is on me now. If I kind of pull down on this rolled hem here. And at this point, I'm thinking about changing up my knitting needles because, like I said, this is going to be somewhat see-through when it stretches onto my body, and I do want the chest portion to be a little bit less see-through, have a little bit more coverage. I'm going to go ahead, switch my needles now, and just continue to work in the round. For the final top reveal, this is the cute little bandeau top, and honestly I'm really glad on the fit. As you guys can see, it's not nearly as like wide or baggy as my previous top. And also another shining moment is all of these like little peekaboo moments. So I'm really glad on how these like all turned out. You can really see the distressed portions just a lot better on this one versus the other top. So here is the final fit. Now, as for like the top of the bandeau, as you guys can see here, I kind of went in and just like tied some yarn on the inside because the bandeau itself looked just a little bit too plain for my liking. I wanted to have like a little bit of accentuation, or like maybe like a sweetheart neckline. So I've kind of just cinched together the very top. I'm really liking it. A few adjustments that I want to go ahead and make on this top as well. Next time I go about making another bandeau top, I do need to make sure that I'm adding still a little bit more length to this, because I would like this to sit more like right here. And the last thing I wanted to note was when I was casting off the very top of this bandeau section, I used a normal cast off, and I think that was honestly just my biggest mistake with this top. So I would like to recommend to you all, if you do plan on making like a really fitted, cute tube top or bandeau type of top, that I should have used, I think it's called the Jenny bind off, or like the Jenny's cast off. I think it's pretty much like an elastic bind off or cast off type of stitch. That way this section here is like a lot more elastic, a lot more stretchy, and I have used that on previous projects. I just don't know why I didn't think to use it this time. So few like little errors that I want to go back in and fix again. And honestly, I have so much yarn left over that I'm probably going to give this top a go one more time. For next time, tips are make the top a little bit longer and use an elastic bind off or cast off method. But other than that, she's super, super cute, and yeah, I'm ready to wear her out. Thank you guys all for watching so much. It's going to wrap up today's video. Again, guys, don't forget to check out Ana Luisa and use my coupon code. They have really great sustainable jewelry pieces like the ones that I'm wearing now. So I will leave the code and the link down below for you guys to check out. And other than that, I'll be talking to you all soon. Love you guys so much. Bye.